It's afternoon hockey. I actually like it. I don't know if the players do. I like it because you usually get brunch in the media dining. That's all that matters. It's food. If you haven't figured that about me already. Sam is back. How about that? Luddy's here. We're wearing our DLS shirts. We'll talk about the Black Friday deals as we get going for our pregame show. Stars and Jets. How about that? What a great thumbnail. Couldn't say it better myself. It's round 2, Jets and Stars. This is the DLLS, Dallas Stars pregame show. Happy December, everybody. It's the first new month. Connor Hellebuyck was one of the 3 stars of the month of November. Of course, we'll get into that alongside Craig Ludwig. And look who's back from the IR. It's Sam Nestler. He's going to play through it, even though he's not back to 100% just yet. I'm Owen Newkirk. And I'd just like to point out before we get into everything, our Black Friday deals are still going on at DLLS. If you would like to hit up the merchandise store, do it now. Look at this. This is the Dallas Stars colors in the DLS flag shirt. This is the Texas.
Those are the Winnipeg Jet colors right there.
This is the Texas Rangers diehard version. They don't have a Stars diehard shirt. I don't know why that's the case. But anyway, Sam is wearing the DLS pullover button up. No, I'm kidding. But we are getting ready for Stars and Jets. So 30% off the entire site, up to 75% off sale items. They have some college-themed mugs now, as well as some pint glasses. You can use the QR code or go to the ALLCITY store through the DLS website or that link, which is right there, store.allcitynetwork.com. Hit it up. It's still available, I think, today and tomorrow, which will be Cyber Monday. All right. Let's talk about the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. Did you know that the Stars game in Winnipeg a couple weeks ago, right after the Finland trip, was our biggest show as far as viewership? And we had a ton of Winnipeg Jets fans that watched pregame and postgame. So if you're a Jets fan, welcome. We will try to be as fair and balanced as we can as a Dallas Stars show, but we love having you view. Tell your friends about it. It's a lot of fun. Luds, the Stars got back to winning ways. Actually, we're going to go to Sam because he's here first. He has to leave for the warm-up. Sam, you're back. What did you see over the Dallas Stars last couple of games that you were injured, or at least the one you missed, or two?
Yeah,
two.
I'm gonna throw Chicago out the window because that was just a bad game. I think Pete said it right. Sometimes you really just have to say we didn't have it and we got beat tonight. I think that Colorado game was a really good test for them, and I think they responded exactly how they needed to. They got good goaltending. They got good scoring from around the clock there. They got 2 power play goals, I think, at least. They looked good. They looked clean. And I think that the biggest thing I noticed was that they simplified their game. And Pete actually mentioned that. I don't remember if it was post game or at practice yesterday. He mentioned their power play specifically, really simplifying the game and just going with the shoot first mentality. And Luds, how many times did we say that over the first few weeks of the season that's something they should have done probably with their entire game over the first few weeks when they were really struggling. So I actually asked Pete if he thought 5-on-5 could use that, a little bit of that as well. And he said, look, we can never be too direct as a coaching staff. We want to be direct. We want to get pucks on net. But the 5-on-5 has been trending the right way. And I think their offense 5-on-5 has been like top 10 in the league for a couple of weeks now. So it's just interesting to see they're getting a little more direct. They're shooting the puck a little bit more, and it's ending up in good results. So looking forward to seeing more of that today.
I think it's kind of what we talked about at the start of the season, where they were expecting to come in, certain players were expecting to come in and just start lighting it up because that's the way it went last year. And then as far as the power play goes, I think they were just expecting that it was just going to start there. And, we've been talking for over a month now that sometimes you have to be a little bit more to the point and just start playing a little bit dirtier. And I think that's what's happened to them. And I think when you do it 5-on-5, you'll eventually gravitate to doing it 5-on-4. And I think that's where they're starting now. Otherwise, you're standing there trying to make these perfect plays all the time. And And the scouting in this league is unbelievable. And so they know. My concern all the time was with the entries a lot too, because they keep doing the entries, but then teams are reading it and they're picking it off at that offensive blue line, and they try to kick it out wide. You got to spend another 15 seconds down. So I think all in all, they're trying to say, you know what, we're skilled enough here. We're just going to have to put the, as a former coach said, you got to put the will ahead of the skill.
Sam, the lineup news is it sounds like the same today as we heard yesterday in practice about Logan Stankoven, who's out for today. We knew that already, but they do think he will travel. And so we have the same lineup as Friday. To me, that says a lot more about Matt Dumba and Brendan Smith and than it does about whether or not Stankoven was close to playing, which he might be able to play tomorrow in Utah.
Yeah, we made a point. I can't remember which game it was at this point, but we made a point about how you scratch a veteran like Dumba for 1, maybe 2 games, and it's like, okay, maybe you need a reset. Once it gets to 3 or more, there's a point being made there, right? And this is a point being made. They called up Petrovic, and they had 2 healthy defensemen sit out that game on Friday, and they are opting to do the exact same thing again today. I thought Petrovic was good. I know Luds loves his game, and Pete DeBoer loves it too. He comes up and he plays a simple game. He's a big, heavy, strong right-handed defenseman. He might be their answer, guys. It honestly might end up just being like, hey, look, we wish that Nils Lundqvist could be this, or we wish that this guy could be this, but it might just be that this guy is playing solid. He could play a second pair or a third pair on the right side, and until they bring in some name or call somebody up, some big 6'6" guy down in Cedar Park, I think that this might be the answer. So it's a really good chance for Petrovic tonight. The defense played really well together. I think the team has been solid on the defensive end ever since they kind of started to mix up those pairs a little bit. And it's just going to be fun to watch these guys come in because they're all going to get their chance. Petrovic has his chance right now. Smith's going to get another chance. Dumba's going to get another chance. It's about who's grabbing it, right? We're past the 20-game mark. We're past the point where we can keep saying they're trying to get used to the team. They're trying to do this. These guys have to start making an impact on the ice, and they have to start being consistent. And I think that's what Pete DeBoer is looking for most. So, yeah, no Stankoven. I expect to see him on this trip. I don't know about tomorrow, but maybe in that Wednesday game, he should be back. But it's a situation right now where they don't need to rush it. They got a lot of guys that are playing well on both ends of the ice, and they're using their depth.
I'm gonna throw a couple clips at you about the defense from Pete in a minute once we say goodbye to Sam. So hold that thought on that because I know I can see the wheels spinning about Dumba and Smith. But Sam, this isn't my question, but I just have to throw it out there before I forget. I don't know if Tyler Seguin's going to play tomorrow, and we're going to touch on his stuff with some clips after you go for the warm-up, but I wonder if Stankoven is able to play tomorrow. Otherwise, they'll have to call somebody up or play Brendan Smith as a forward. But as far as let's take a quick look at the Stars lines expected today, John. Sam, we saw Steele mid-game against Colorado move up and play with Ben and Dodonov, Bork down with Oscar Beck and Colin Blackwell. What do you think of that group? I personally really liked what Steele did with Ben and Dodonov.
Yeah, I think Sam Steele is similar to Stankoven in the sense that he can fix a lot when you put him on a line. I really do. I think he plays fast. He plays the game. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He just plays with a high speed, high intensity, and he's a really intelligent player. I think him and Blackwell are both guys that can bring a little more than just being a fourth line guy that plays 10 minutes a game. I think that he looked great in that spot. I mean, last year we talked about it a ton. He essentially knocked Radek Faksa out of Dallas by taking that spot and making him and Dellandrea and those guys all fight for that 13th, 12th spot. So I think Sam Steele brings a lot to that group. It's going to be interesting to see how they line up because we have the what they want to be that number one line. We have or second line, whatever you want to call it. We have that Duchesne line that they know they like, and that fourth line's been really good pretty much no matter how they put in on the last week or 2 weeks or so. So it's kind of now looking for which fit is best, which I think is a lot better than what they were doing, let's say 2 weeks ago when they were looking for, let's just get some fit somewhere. And so that's really important.
All right, Sam. Well, you get ready for the warm-up. You got a couple minutes away. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're back, and then we'll get you for a post-game as well.
All right, boys. Enjoy the game. Luds, you look great in green.
Thanks, Sam. That means a lot coming from you.
All right, so let's hit a couple of clips here, and I want to go back to the defense. We'll start with Pete DeBoer on his group against the Colorado Avalanche. Here's what he had to say when asked yesterday at practice.
I mean, in a perfect world, you'd love to roll out the same pairs every game, 3 pair of the same guys. When you're playing teams like Colorado, though, where Nate McKinnon is on the ice 24 or 5 minutes with different lines, with different lines and different combinations, it's really hard to just, have a 1, 2, 3 pair. You want Miro Heiskanen, Thomas Harley, Esa Lindell on the ice when those key guys are on the ice, at least one of them. And that's just, the reality of playing teams like that. You're going to live with a little bit of those combination changes.
Okay, so that was my second clip. I set it up to John backwards. So that's on me. That was about how he rolled out he and L.A. Nazardine, a lot of different combinations. It wasn't just 3 defensive pairings. And he said specifically against Colorado, I mean, you heard what he had to say. You can't just roll and get caught with maybe your third pair against Nate McKinnon and Cale Makar.
That's fair. I mean, and again, when you're at home, it's a little bit easier to get that matchup. And I think the obviously one is to be able to get, well, I didn't say obvious. I mean, it's either Esa. For me, it's either Esa number 1, and then Miro. But when you have those 2 guys together, it allows Miro to be a little bit more offensive because he knows that Esa's back there.
So the first clip was this. This is about how he thought the defenseman played against the Avalanche.
I guess the word would be just solid. We had good detail. This is a league where coaches. It's a cliche, but there's a lot of truth to it. You can't beat yourself. And I thought our group really managed the game well.
That is, I mean, it's not overflowing praise, but against a dynamic group like the Avalanche, especially their top end guys, solid is fine.
You have the job to do, and you did the job. It's effective and efficient, and that's what they are. And and again, if you want to talk about the Dumba Smith thing, when I look at these pairs, I mean, you have Esa and Miro, you have Harley, Lyubushkin, again, however they want to put it together, Petro and Lundqvist.
Yep.
They complement each other. So Lundqvist, I think, feels comfortable if he's going to take a little bit of a chance. He knows that Petro's that guy. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Miro when it comes to Esa, and the same thing with Harley when it comes to Lyubushkin. So they can kind of play the game that they're supposed to. And it's not that the offensive guys are just going to think offense, but they can follow the play up a little tighter.
Well, let's take a look at the D pairings. And obviously we know Jake Oettinger starting, but there were times where we saw Heiskanen and Lyubushkin, Petrovic and Harley. It's very important to remember that at times last year, the Stars, maybe not last year a ton, but those 2 played together when Harley was in the AHL 2 years ago before he made his grand entrance. So they have a lot of chemistry of playing together. And obviously Lindell and Lundqvist we've seen before. This is not going to be the only setups we see today, but this gives you lefty-righty, and it gives you a guy that can move the puck offensively with a guy that can be a little bit safer on all 3 pairs. I'm not saying that you're going to see 1, 2, 3 like this the whole game, but I don't mind this grouping.
No, and again, S is the guy that played the big minutes last game, and that was because of being able to have him out there all the time. And what did I say? He had 7 minutes or so just on the PK alone. He doesn't seem to have to come off on the PK, and then he's going to get a lot of D zone starts because you've got Steady Eddie that can defend there, and again, so it doesn't matter how they do it, but they've got guys now in this setup, and this isn't taking anything away from Dumba and Smith, but today Petro's not going to be here all year, right? I mean, maybe he will be. We'll see how it shakes out.
It would be a bit of a surprise, but not a shock.
Yeah, because again, you've got one guy that's not in the lineup that's making some pretty good coin. The other guy came here to be a number 7. So I mean, reality is what it is. And again, there's no general manager in the league that's going to say we want that guy over there that's making all that money just to sit on the stands. And be, that's not the way things work around anywhere. So, but again, what results matter. And when you have a clean game like that, and Jake Oettinger, I think was probably going in that particular group, that particular game. Yeah, that there's a team there that has some good skill. They're going to get their chances, but there wasn't a lot of chaos going on in that game.
Let's take one more clip from Pete DeBoer from yesterday. He did a lot of talking about the power play and some really interesting stuff. These are 2 mashed together. He went 3-4, and I could have done it all, but we don't have a ton of time. So here's Pete on simplifying the power play.
To simplify it, it's just it's more of a shot recovery mentality than a, let's pass it around and look for a perfect play. Let's break them down, shot, recover, as opposed to looking for, set plays and specific plays, which I find really slows us down. So, that shot recover mentality, I find breaks down the penalty kill, gets them out of position, and then you tend to have things open up. So that's probably the best way I can put it.
Is that something that is a little harder when you have as much talent as you do?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you have talent, and you're coaching that talent, and they want plays and looks on it, and sometimes you fall into that trap of deferring to some of that stuff as opposed to just getting pucks and bodies to the net.
Boy, I heard that in the middle of it again. That clued another thought for me. He says when we're looking for set plays, it really slows us down, and it means they're not moving the puck as quickly. They're not attacking and creating chaos. What do you think about what he just said? And he went on to talk about how they need to, he praised some of the guys that can be good retrieval players, but he said they have to be predictable within their groups of the power play to know where that retrieval might be, so they're not standing still and reacting.
What do you think I'm going to say?
Oh, I know what you're going to say, but they want to hear it.
I think we need to get Pete, Ben, if you're listening, we got to get Pete a green DLLS shirt because he obviously is paying attention. No, I mean, I agree with everything he says. When he talks about set plays, there is a thing called scouting. I think if you haven't heard about it, I'm sure you have. So the PK units will sit in there the day before, and they're going to go over all of the PK deals, what they've done against other teams, and they're specifically going to look at Winnipeg today. And they're going to watch what Scheifele does and how he gets to the front of net, where Kyle-Connor comes from a certain area of the ice, where he shoots puck, and they're going to say, that's their number one play. I can go back to a Brett Hull deal, and Hully wanted to be the Ovechkin, and we were an aggressive kind of team, just starting the aggressiveness at one point. And I said, watch when Hull gets over to the other side of the ice. He wants nothing to do with anything. Well, let's set up and just be stationary. Let's let Brett Hull over there and pout, because now it's really a 4-on-4. Right? And so we're taking their biggest weapon away. So what you do is you try to take plan A away, make them go to plan B. And that's kind of what they're saying with that. So, be a little bit less predictable.
You would think that we planned this all out beforehand, but we don't, not all of it. What Letty just said works perfectly with one of the clips for Scott Arniel on facing the Stars penalty kill, because he was asked about facing the Stars. And one of the things he talked about was how they deal with Dallas's PK.
Yeah, they are good. They're real strong in their PK, and they're going to try to make adjustments to us, I'm pretty sure. But just watching their Colorado game, they still are an aggressive group. They do a great job of not giving you easy looks. So for us, it's our attack mentality. It's our puck retrievals on those situations 5-on-4, and again, we're going to have to make sure that we do what we do best, and that's be on in those areas.
And what I clipped short of was, before that part of his answer was, we'll have specific pre-scout video that shows exactly what you're talking about. But these coaches aren't reinventing the wheel. They're saying the same things.
And it's a copycat league, right? It really is. And, and to my knowledge, I played against Scott, I guess, apparently. I'm sure I did. But he wasn't a power play specialist, right? He was a guy that down the lineup a little bit, killed penalties and stuff like that. And so he knows that, and he knows that, hey, here's what we did when we played against so-and-so. Let's take it away. We had success on it. So now you've got the Dallas. The thing about Dallas is when they're clicking, they've got more than one set play. They can beat you different ways, but they've got to get, they've got to become a threat again. Mm-hmm. And if you got to tweak some things sometimes, that is what I think they're trying to do. I agree with everything that Pete said. And I like the shot mentality, because they've got guys that can score goals from distance, and then it's what this Winnipeg team has been doing. They've been scoring a lot of goals on their power play, and they're not always fancy goals. They get pucks to the net, and then they have guys that come to the net and they pick up rebounds.
Well, we're going to talk about Winnipeg and they sort of come back to earth in a minute. One thing I thought was really interesting as we look at their lineup, take a look at the Winnipeg expected group. They weren't sure if Nikolai Ehlers would play or not. Now we know that he is out today, which means that David Gustafsson will come into the lineup. He will not go in on the right side of the second line with Perfetti and Nemesnikov, because that's what they did in the last game. Ehlers left in the second period in Vegas. Iafallo went up, and they liked what they did. Perfetti scored 2 goals. So I would expect to see Perfetti, Nemesnikov, and Iafallo across that second line, Gustafsson to slot in on the fourth line. And your first thought of Ehlers out of this lineup and what a big impact he has on their team?
Good. That's my first thought. That's good news for Dallas because their top six have been really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can compare them to whatever team. You can compare them to Dallas if you want to. Now, as far as Iafallo, he's the guy that's had the bottom six. He's had the most success with the bottom six. It makes him, in the last 10 games, I should say, it makes him important to go up there. So, but Ehlers has always had an issue with staying healthy during the course of the year. So, and he's not a big guy, but he plays the game with speed and stuff like that. That's an important loss for them because Ehlers he's that little water bug going through the middle of the ice, but he can also back you up off their offensive blue line, Dallas's defensive blue line. So I think that's a good thing for Dallas to have happen today.
Well, the Jets lost on Friday in Vegas 4-3. It was a close game, but they did like Scott Arnill liked some of the way they played. Here's one thing he didn't like, and it's a short clip, but it was a really interesting terminology I want to throw at Leds.
I didn't like the fact that we gave up 5 or 6 rush chances against, and sometimes that's a mental side. Our sort-outs weren't great, where we usually have that down pat. We kind of got away on our sort-outs on those, so there was 3 rush goals against.
So he didn't like their sort-outs and the rush chances they gave up. That's something that Dallas always causes problems with opponents as well. Their transition game is scoring on the rush. So that clued my ears immediately going, that's something that Jets are going to have to clean up if they don't want to give up those against the Stars.
We made specific things, and John and I did a video, I think, on the Monday after they played these guys, and we showed the examples of how many times when Dallas goes back and forth, and Winnipeg coming back into their own zone, they have 4 and 5 guys in that picture frame. If you freeze it at the offensive blue line for the Dallas Stars, they have numbers coming back all the time. They've gotten a little loose. And that's what he's basically saying, we're loose. And so I think what you're going to see today, knowing that you're playing against the Stars that have the ability to, get up and run and create some outnumbered rushes, they're going to make sure that they've got numbers coming back into their own zone.
The last thing on Arnill was he just had a little clip about this. They're on an 11-day road trip. This is the 6th and final game. They're 2-3 on this trip. Well, this and facing the Stars, here's what he had to say about this. This was yesterday at their practice.
Supposed to, yep, mandatory.
Yeah, we got one more to go. 11-day trip. We'd love to go home here 3-3. To me, this is the second best team in the Western Conference that we're facing tomorrow. These guys are real good, and they're probably going to be real angry after our game that we had in Winnipeg. And this is it's a Central Division matchup that two teams that we'd like to think that are near the top. And we're going to have to make sure we have all our energies, all our mindset, everything about tomorrow is right on.
You know what bulletin board material is? You've heard that phrase, right?
Oh, for sure.
I take that clip and I play that right before they go out to the start of the game. Just the first 5 seconds of that. Dallas is the second best team in the Western Conference. I play that for those guys right there, and let's see how they start the hockey game.
To be fair, Winnipeg had a historic start. They won 15 of 16. No team in the NHL has started the season better than they did. So you have a little bit to say if you're the best team in the conference, at least at that point.
Yeah.
But what's happened in the last 8? They're 3-5. And I wrote down some numbers. You've probably got numbers up the yin-yang as well.
Yeah, but I spilled stuff all over it, so I don't know what they are anymore.
Let me give you my splits. First 16 games, they scored 73 goals. They gave up 34. That was a plus 39. That's obscene because their goal differential was plus 4.5. Goal differential. Their last 8 games, they've scored 20. They've given up 26. Obviously, that's minus 6. Suddenly, they went from averaging 2.13 goals against to 3.25. And their goals for from 4.56 to 2.50. Those are obviously in the wrong direction.
They're coming back down to earth. They, like you said, they had a historic start in the coach's office, in the GM thing. They're like, let's keep this thing going. We know it's not going to last. It's a long season. It's a compressed schedule. Things are going to go sideways. It's nice we're putting some points in the bank for times like this. They need this game to be able to go back home 500 on this trip. They're going to go home. They're going to play a couple games, and they're going back on the road again. Ooh. So they know where they're at, and you know what? They're going to say all good things because it has been a good start, and they've had guys stay healthy. Now you get a little tired, and the schedule starts to catch up to you a little bit. And Hellebuyck plays a lot, right? And so there's times when he's not going. We've got a really good goaltender here, and we've seen nights where Jake isn't that, but that's just things that are going to happen, and you have to somehow find a way to weather that storm. It'd be nice for Dallas to come out the way that they know they can in this building and send them home a couple games down from 500 and worry about the next time you meet them, because you're the one chasing these guys. And at this point, yeah, you are the second best team, but that kind of remedied, hoop there. So take it to heart, boys.
Well, Minnesota's tied in points with the Jets. The reason why the Jets are still in first place in the Central is because of the regulation wins tiebreaker. So it's really close. For a team that had the best start in NHL history through 16 games, they're close to falling out of first place. And so that's just how good. Vegas is on a tear. Minnesota's kept up. The Stars, aren't, with a couple games in hand, aren't that far behind. Well, this road trip, at Pittsburgh they won. Nashville they lost. Minnesota they won. That's a good win at Energy Center. Then they lost at LA and then Vegas. So they could end up on a 3-game losing skid going home. They play St. Louis on Tuesday, whereas the Stars go to Salt Lake City for the first time ever to face Utah tomorrow on the second night of a back-to-back. So at least it's a night game after playing this afternoon game. Couple of things for Tyler Seguin clips, because this is very interesting. We have talked about this kind of off the air and on about Seguin trying to kind of maintenance on something. They haven't played him in a couple of back-to-backs. Stars haven't had a lot of back-to-backs early. They're going to have one tomorrow. Here's what Tyler said yesterday after practice when asked about dealing with something.
It's definitely going to be one of the most interesting years of my career, I'd say. So hopefully at the end of the day, it's with the big shiny thing at the end.
Yeah. So he didn't give away a whole lot there.
Yeah, but just look at his face. Can you play that again? Watch his face.
It's definitely going to be one of the most interesting years of my career, I'd say. So hopefully at the end of the day, it's with the big shiny thing at the end.
Yeah. He is very good at keeping things close as far as media, but he also is expressive, and I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah. Well,
there's something there, and he's going to deal with it.
I mean, everybody knows there's something there. What exactly it is, we don't know, and what he's actually dealing with. But you know what? That kid, I know he's not a kid anymore, but that kid has played through some nasty things.
He has.
And he's found a way to fight through it, and you can tell. I mean, you just as a teammate, you appreciate a teammate like that knows that he's probably not at 100%, not that there ever really is, but when you know his history of what he's played through, if he needs a game or 2 or 3 or whatever it may be, if you need a month off, we want you as healthy as possible when the playoffs roll around.
How about the fact that he has more than a point a game through 8? He's played 18 games. The Stars are playing their 23rd, so he's missed a few because of injury or, like we said, being held out of that back-to-back in Finland. And he has 9 goals, 20 points in 18 games. He's on pace, 30, 35 goals maybe? I mean, if he can limp his way along, that's a heck of a year.
Limp his way along? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You know what? Fans will be disappointed if Tyler's not in the lineup, but the guys are going to be most disappointed are Duchesne and Marchment.
Yeah.
And again, if that happens, I mean, we don't know that. But if something like that happens, especially if it's for more than a game or 2, you're going to have to find a way to plug that spot. And there probably isn't the right guy to plug that spot, just like there isn't a right guy to plug the spot for Joe Pavelski.
Ding.
And but we're starting to see that Wyatt Johnson, his stepson, is right there starting to plug that spot.
And maybe Stankoven is okay to play tomorrow, and because I'm fully expecting Tyler Seguin not to play. Maybe he surprises and plays both games of the back-to-back. Well, this is for Lutz. And I want you to watch Tyler's face when the question is being asked. Hold on. No, not that one.
Oh.
But I'm so glad you picked up on his expression, because he has a look during the question, which is why I kept the question in, about possible NHL load management similar to what they do in the NBA.
You said it's probably one of the most interesting years of your career, trying to stay 100%. When you guys go through the grind you go through, the closest comparison is the NBA, where they do load manage and guys do take nights off to try and keep themselves ready. I feel like the NHL might be going in that direction, where it is a little more common for certain guys to see some time off.
No, I mean, if the foot fits in the boot, you should play. I mean, that's been my motto as well since forever. You hate missing games, you hate missing practices. I think scoring 30 goals in this league is cool. I think playing 82 games is almost like scoring 40. So it's cool.
Thoughts?
All I'm going to say is that, the majority of hockey players don't make up excuses for anything. You just go and you do your thing as best as you can, and you'll find out in the offseason what it is. Again, it's sheepish little kind of, but again, he's a gamer. He wants to be in every night, and I think what keeps him in the lineup right now is the other two guys that he's playing with.
No doubt.
I just think that's his motivation.
Okay, lastly for us before we wrap up our pregame show, Stars played the Jets. The first game, of course, it was all Jets. They scored the first 4. Dallas got a cosmetic goal to not get a shutout late in the third period. Jake got pulled. It was the first time he had been lifted during a game this year. It was utterly embarrassing for the Dallas Stars, and especially coming off the frustrating Finland trip where they did at least get a win coming back against the Blackhawks, which they didn't do earlier this week. Now, what are your thoughts of what the Stars are trying to do?
The big thing for me in this game is when I look through things, for the life of me, I don't know how they keep scoring the goals, but they have, and it's starting to dry up a little bit, is no bad penalties. I think Dallas has got to stay out of the box. They're finding a way. They've got a power play that finds a way to put in a goal or two in there. I think if Dallas plays a smart game, if you're going to the box, make sure somebody comes with you. And so their PK will have to be on point tonight when they get on it.
Go to the AllCity link right there. Use that QR code. Get your shirt. Utilize the Black Friday sales. Best time to get this merch at a discounted price, and they're very comfortable. So hopefully we'll be talking about a Stars win, but we're going to go watch the game now. I'm going to head over to the AAC. Letty's going to be here breaking down all the video. Keep an eye on his in-between periods, things that they post through the DLS Stars Twitter page, and we'll be here for after the game, including all you Jets fans that watch. We love having you come here. Maybe a little bit more disappointed today.
Might be a different day here, Jets fans.
Hang out, though. Maybe we should do it.
Enjoy the weather there in Winnipeg.
Maybe we can do a Winnipeg Jets DLLS, right? We'll just get DLS, go Jets, right? Right? Thanks for joining us. For Craig Ludwig and for Sam Nessler and our producer, John Anderson, I'm Owen Newkirk. We'll see you after the game.
We all silly like the mayor.